Hello, Broncos country. Hope everybody had a phenomenal Friday and a phenomenal week at that. As always, this is Broncos Brawl, and my name is Keegan Hartman. Make sure to find me and follow me on Twitter at KeeganHartman1 if you haven't done so already. Dude, I cannot believe this is the 20th episode of this show, and it seems like just last month was January when we were getting everything started. It's just hard to believe, Alex. It's crazy.
I know, man. It's flying by.
Well, I guess, obviously, my other co-host here, Byron, I think Byron's going to be joining us here in a bit, should be popping in soon. If not, that's all right. We can go right through this thing, this episode, and we can just catch Byron on the next episode if need be. But, yeah, with that said, make sure you follow the main man right here joining me tonight at @V_Broncos on Twitter, Mr. Alex Valdez. Alex, how's your Friday been, man?
Dude, it's my day off. My gym finally opened. Man, I'm too happy today.
Over the moon.
How you doing?
I'm good. See, Missouri disobeys. They don't understand this whole coronavirus lingo, and it feels like we've been open ever since there was a lockdown or shutdown or whatever you want to say. Feels like nothing ever happened. So, yeah, at least you guys had a lockdown.
Yeah.
Well,
for what it's worth.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot to get into. Not really a lot. This should be a pretty somewhat short episode, really. We do have a couple of things that we do want to talk about, and we'll get right into it. Of course, there is no physical rookie mini camp going on. There are no OTAs in the foreseeable future. There's really nothing going on in terms of the physical aspect of things other than teams are basically allowing front office reps and whatnot, coaches, to go back to their facilities. They're able to access their facilities again. Of course, the Denver Broncos were posting pictures. You could see arrows within a Dove Valley. You look in the main building, there's arrows following guidelines. This all pertaining to coronavirus. So this is going to be a slow transition back into everything. I mean, I want to start with these precautions before we get into, kind of all of our other topics we got going on today, Alex. I want to start with, what is this? It's gonna take this process to transition back into everything. What's this going to look like for the next month? Given that everything's kind of being pushed back and it's being delayed and there really isn't a bunch of physical interaction for a lot of these teams, all of these teams, as a matter of fact, they're just taking baby steps. What is this going to look like, and is it going to affect the 2020 season for all 32 clubs?
Honestly, it should affect because, every time we're talking about extending the season by, 1 or 2 games, I don't know if that was passed or not. You could correct me, but every time we're always talking about extending these games and which means, cutting into some of the preseason games, it's always like, I always wonder, that's free games that you can work some stuff out. And, practicing 7-on-7 against your own team and not being able to take them to the ground and all that kind of stuff. I was looking forward to these joint practices with the Chicago Bears. And now that that's been called off, I'm wondering, will that affect the Broncos? Will that affect, a young Drew Lock who's learning a new system? So right now, all things out of Dove Valley is, that he is taking the proper precautions and, proper steps to learn the offense. And everything coming out of Pat Shurmur's mouth is glowing, considering, he's got his, 5-starter quarterback that's just came out from last year. So, he's doing everything that he possibly can. And I know this is a team game, but, it all comes down to your quarterback, and everything coming out of Dove Valley sounds great.
Yeah, that was a hell of a segue, by the way. Getting into the whole Drew Lock side of things, I think the other most important thing is, besides your coaches and besides your GM, is you got to make sure your players are getting their work in, and that goes for the quarterback, the receivers, the offensive side of things. You got to start there, and Drew Lock has been, I guess, according to a lot of reports, Nikki Javala, she had reported that a lot of players within the Broncos offense are moving in and out, working with Drew Lock. Some of those names that come to mind were Dalton Reisner, Jawan James, Phillip Lindsay, KJ Hamler, I believe Cortland Sutton, and then Jerry Jeudy just joined the mix. So that's what it looks like right now. And props to Drew Lock for being able to take the initiative and get everything in. Granted, yes, the circumstances are a little difficult right now, but to be able to get in and get that working with all those guys, I mean, that's got to be a significant impact. It's got to alleviate a lot heading into the future. What do you think?
Well, what's always silly is, every time since Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning always had his off-season throwing camps and used to take them to Duke and, throw them over there. But ever since that happened, the media has always expected the quarterback in Denver to have this, off-season, throwing camp. And I don't know if it was always fair to whoever the quarterback was at the time, but, not every quarterback does that. Not every, not all the teammates always get together like that. But, kudos to Drew Lock for getting that together. He did talk with Peyton Manning in the offseason to, find out how to hone in his game and how to get better. So, like you said, you're tossing out some names that are there. Like you said, Phillip Lindsay is a regular, I'm told. Melvin Gordon, he's got all of his new weapons. KJ Hamler, Sutton, Jeudy, and Noah Fant, too. And I'm sure it's not being reported, but, I'm sure Alberto Cuebunam, boom, nailed that name.
Hey.
I'm sure he's there too, considering the friendship they have too. But getting that timing down is everything, which is pretty much what you want. When you get the pads on and whatnot. But as far as I think the important part is, one, learning your timing, and two, just getting your head into the playbook. I mean, that is, it's literally learning a different language from one coach to the next. Mind you, they all run some variation of the same thing. But, I mean, I say tomato, you say tomato, it's all going to be different. So you're literally learning new languages, new ways to spread the ball out, new ways to call out hot reads, all these different things. So, yeah, the fact that Pat Shurmur is coming out with these glowing with these glowing rumors, that, as he called them, saying that they're going well, man, I'm super stoked.
Yeah, a lot to be excited for, especially considering the fact that this is a culture shock for the entire offense. I mean, this is a transition into a new playbook. This is everybody getting accustomed to their new role. And, I can't say it enough. You got to give credit to these young guys stepping up so early and trying to get adjusted and accustomed. I mean, you're killing two birds with one stone, really. You're kind of getting accustomed with these rookies, but at the same time, you guys are both new to a new system, so really it works out. It's mutual for these guys. One of those rookies, another great transition here. God, we are just killing it in the transition game right now. So yesterday, the newest Broncos first-round pick, I should say, 15th pick overall, y'all know the name, Mr. Jerry Jeudy, was putting in work and it looked like he was getting some work in as far as his routes go, doing some cone drills. All right. So we're starting the conversation on this Twitter deal. Essentially, yesterday, Jerry Jeudy shining in this video as far as his route running ability, his footwork, truly impressive. And one of the big names that really complimented him yesterday was a Mr. Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco. And I have the tweet here. I was going to read it off real quick before I get you guys' reaction and what you guys thought. Let me go down here and see. Yeah. Quote unquote, Moses parted the Red Sea for feet like this. Essentially, Jerry Jeudy just assaults the grass with the quick footwork, and he runs a nice route right after he flexes the footwork. But that's a glimpse of what you're going to be seeing. A lot of people have compared this guy to Chad Johnson. At least me. I don't know about you guys, but I think that his footwork off the line, it's some of the most impressive footwork I had seen since, I wasn't there, obviously, since Chad Johnson, entered, because that was 2000, 2001. But from YouTube, I've seen that this guy has such great footwork, and obviously he solidified that yesterday. Byron, I'm going to ask you first, man. What do you think? What do you see in the hype surrounding Mr. Jerry Jeudy, and what did you get to see the video? What was your reaction to him cutting up the grass yesterday?
I did not get to see the video yesterday, but I've watched this kid a lot in the SEC.
Yeah.
I've watched some of his workouts, prior to the draft. To me, he has elite feet. He really does. And he is an elite route runner, which is more impressive to me than what he does off the line is actually his route running abilities. Mm-hmm. I think, from what I've seen, he is easily going to be one of the top route runners in the league coming in as a rookie. Not saying that because he's a Bronco. I'm just going on the eyeball test, and he definitely, from what I've seen, like I said, in his workouts, what I've seen in game stuff at Alabama, I'm impressed. I mean, like, he's already up there with the top guys, I believe.
Hey, Byron, can I ask you to explain what elite route running means? I know that term gets thrown around a lot. I know, people think that, oh, yeah, he understands all of the routes, but can you explain what that actually means?
To me, it's the ability that you have to set up your routes, number one. Number two, getting in and out of cuts as quickly as possible, because that is how you gain separation from the DB. So the thing is, being able to control your body, okay, not getting too far outside of your body, not telegraphing your routes. One of the things that we look for in a wide receiver, like if you're on the outside, like, doesn't matter if you're going to run the bang 8, if you're going to run a go route, if you're going to run a comeback, if you're going to run the dig route, do they all kind of look the same when you coming off the line, depending on whether you inside release or outside release? And then that's the other thing too, having the ability to inside release or outside release and run every route. One of the guys that was very impressive that I played with that had that ability was Ed McCaffrey. And a lot of times they teach you, hey, don't go outside, don't outside release if you're running an out-breaking route. But Ed had the ability to do that just because he understood how to set up just his different routes and how to press and lean against the DB and how to ultimately gain that separation at the time of the ball needs to be delivered. And I see that in Jerry Jeudy, regardless of whether he releases inside or outside, he can run any route with any type of release. And that's what I mean by being an elite route runner. There's some guys out there, if they're going to run a certain route, they've got to release a certain way. And this kid has the ability to, it really doesn't matter. So it doesn't telegraph his routes.
Yeah, 100%. Alex, I mean, you said it first, not me. I mean, is he already considered to the elite level? I mean, given the glimpse that we've seen, because he hasn't even put on the Broncos uniform yet. And I mean, are we already considering him top of the top right now?
I mean, he comes out of Alabama that teaches that pro tree. Mm-hmm. Just watching some of his film again, just because, I mean, just watching his film is, it's so enjoyable. Just turn it on at night and just fall asleep to it because it's like a lullaby, man. You see the guy, just like Byron says, he starts every single route looking the same. So you don't know if he's not tipping his route. And then when he has a dig route, he'll drop his head all the way down to his knees just to cut back inside or outside and stop his momentum. And it's just incredible. I mean, the guy, he doesn't telegraph his stuff, like Byron says. His only knock, I'd say right now, is his body seems a little bit filled out as far as, or I guess maxed out. Mm-hmm. And, coming out of college, coming out of Alabama, he didn't seem at all, or at least not always, interested in blocking downfield. That can be taught. That's more of a, like Shannon would say with tight ends. That's just that's a want to kind of thing. So, I mean, the guy's a complete player. I do expect him to at least make the all rookie team.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. His ability to create separation off the line, that's going to be significant for Sutton to make plays. Not only Sutton, but Hamler. His ability to be able to create separation with the speed. So you've got your speed, your footwork, and you've got your frame. So I think all three categories are pretty much taken care of in terms of all three receivers on the roster. But that brings me to another point that Chad Ochocinco pointed out yesterday whenever he was talking about Jeudy. He didn't just talk about Jeudy. He talked about the Broncos' first-round pick and the second-round pick and Courtland Sutton. So this is part of his tweet from the second batch. This is what he had said. So this is Chad Johnson, quote-unquote, "It's unfair Jeudy and Hamler are lining up together, and I can confidently say this is the first time I've ever seen three true number one receivers on one team." Guys, I mean, it's a legend, an NFL legend saying this. Chad Johnson, arguably one of the top receivers. I honestly think he's overrated sometimes. I feel like he never gets mentioned. I never hear his name anymore, but I got to give credit where credit's due. He's a legend. What do you think? Byron, I'm going to start with you. Okay, so are these guys really, not even having put on the Broncos uniform, are these guys a top receiving trio in the NFL already?
I think they can be. I wouldn't say three number ones.
Yeah,
because I don't think Hamler's a number one, but he's a damn good number two, and he's an elite number three.
Yeah.
And so, and knowing that that's where he'll fit in, he'll probably be a number three. I look at it as, we can be one of the top receiving corps, and then you throw in our tight end situation, Noah Fant, you throw in Albert O into that mix as well. We could have one of the top receiving corps in the National Football League with our young quarterback Drew Lock, and if he lives up to the expectation and potential that we all have for him, he showed what he could do at the end of the year last year. And so we have this expectation from him that he's just going to grow and get better. And now with these increased weapons, I think we could get there and be looked at by the end of the year as one of the top receiving corps in the National Football League. And that's saying something, because to be one of the top, you gotta be up there with the Kansas City in our own division. So it's saying something.
And real quick, Alex, before I get your input on this, Byron, I want to ask you: are these? And Alex, I'm going to ask you the same. Is this the key to that postseason push we've been yearning for since 2016? Really, I mean, is that just the receiving core itself? Is this the key? Is this the missing piece?
You know what? I tend to think it is. I think we have struggled. The last few years, even finding a quarterback. We went through some experiments with, even going back to Osweiler, to Paxton Lynch. What was the kid from Northwestern?
Trevor Siemian.
Trevor Siemian. And so we haven't had that elite level quarterback, number one, and then the weapons around that quarterback we just haven't had. And the defense, to me, has been solid over those years, but we've just put too much pressure on them to hold up. I think now, with the weapons we have, the playmakers that we have on offense, I think it will not only help us score points, but also relieve some of the pressure that the defense has been holding onto over those years, and get them back to an elite. Bond's coming back with something to prove. Chubb's going to come back with something to prove. You got some guys on that defense that are going to have they're going to have that chip on their shoulder. So I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Alex, care to weigh in on that? Or
you look at you look at the Super Bowl Broncos and the latest Super Bowl Broncos, I should say, and all of their games were all decided by, they had 12 games decided by, 4 points or less, I believe. And you have to win those games, and it's not just rely on your defense anymore, because the Broncos have relied on their defense for the better half of 6 years now. So the days of leaning on Von Miller, as much as I love the guy, it's time to lean on your quarterback, like you should be leaning on your quarterback. And like Byron said, you can have all the weapons in the world, you're not really going to go anywhere without a quarterback. Yeah. The Broncos, or what was it? We're just two years, I believe, removed from when Simeon and who was it? The guy out of Jacksonville and Foles were all in the top 4 quarterbacks to finish the year. They're all in their respective championships, and that was because they had strong teams. Now you have yourself a strong quarterback, you've got yourself a dynamic young offense, and then you've got your still strong defense. So now it's just time to put the the rubber to the road and see what you got.
And so, Byron, I'm going to swing it back to you real quick, because this was kind of something that I had mentioned to Alex before we kind of went on today for today's episode. Byron, I want to ask you, 2013, you go back to that year. This offense is arguably, that 2013 offense, speaking of, is arguably one of the greatest offenses in NFL history. Not only in Broncos history, NFL history. You look at what they were able to accomplish: Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, Eric Decker, Julius Thomas, all 10-plus touchdown receivers, all 1,200-plus, or at least 2 of them were 1,200-plus, that being Decker and Thomas. Do you think, and depending on if the season goes as accordingly because of COVID and everything else that's going on, do you think that this tandem, this trio, the Fantastic Four, let's go ahead and call it the Fantastic Four, because it's Fant, it's Judy, it's Hamler, it's Sutton. Do you think they have the ability to emulate that 2013 receiving core of the 2013 Broncos?
The ability, yes. Whether that will happen or not, that remains to be seen. I think the other part of it is, how does this offensive line play together this year? That's going to be, to me, the key on how explosive we are offensively. How does this offensive line, how long does it take them quickly to gel, and do they stay healthy this year? Yeah. And to me, that's the key. But to me, you've got all the key ingredients, there for you. A young, strong-arm quarterback, with some experience now, some game experience under his belt. Courtland Sutton has definitely proven that he's a number 1 receiver and one of the better number 1 receivers in this league. Promising rookies, a tight end, like I said, that can make big plays down the field. I in my mind, I always go back to that Cleveland game and just seeing him run through a tackle and just taking it down the sideline and nobody being able to catch him. I mean, that is the type of weapon that you need at tight end. And I'm going to say this because he's my guy. We have another guy that's like that in Albert O, that can make those type of plays. So yes, the ingredients are there. To me, the key that's going to tell us how this offense, is going to be this year is the offensive line. And can they stay healthy? Can they gel together quickly?
Mm-hmm. Alex, do you think there's a chance of emulation of the 2013 season with these receivers?
To pair that offense with today's defense, I mean, you're talking about, winning the Super Bowl, because that we already know what happened in that year.
Oh.
But no, I don't believe that, just for the simple fact of they already had 2 Pro Bowlers on their roster at the time, and then you add in a, I mean, what can you say about Peyton Manning? The guy's all NFL ever. So,
yeah.
Not only that, but as Byron alluded to, that offensive line was not good at all back then. I mean, you had Luis Vasquez and Orlando Franklin, but at that point, you're asking Peyton Manning to do a lot of audibling and his own protections. So I think this offensive line is a lot better than that offensive line. So if that means we've got a shot, then yeah, we've got a shot. But yeah, that offense already had a Julius Thomas. It already had a DT who had already been to the Pro Bowl. It had a Wes Welker who had already been a multiple-time All-Pro. So I would love to see that this Broncos be that team. I don't think that would happen in 2020, but they do have the potential.
Yeah, and let me say this, and that's why I focus on the offensive line, because we have guys with talent and the potential to be, and so where it's going to happen for them is having the time, because like you said, Peyton Manning is Mr. All NFL on any decade. You can throw him in whatever. Okay, Drew's not that guy, but Drew has the potential to be a star in this league. Drew has the arm where he can throw it. He can make any throw that needs to be made on the field. We have these talented young players, but they're young. You know what I'm saying? With a lot of these guys, we got 2 guys that are coming, or 3 guys, because I'm throwing Albert O in there, man. I'm including him in. We got 3 guys that have no NFL experience at all that we're going to be looking for. You have, and also another young tight end and fan. So, but that being said, just the talent level is so elite that if we do have an offensive line that can protect our quarterback, the sky's the limit with this offense. And we haven't even talked about the 2 guys we got in the backfield running the ball. Philip Lindsay, Pro Bowler, Melvin Gordon. We know what he's done in his career with the Chargers. Him coming over and adding him in the mix of this offense. So.
Well, that's a hell of a question to bring up. So I am going to ask you, what does this receiving? I mean, now you're spreading the field. You're giving Locke the weapons, on the outside, his passing weapons. What does this do for the run game now, Byron? I mean, what is this? How significant is it to have these 3, maybe 4, actually guarantee you 4 weapons for Locke? What is this going to do for the run game this upcoming season, pending?
Well, it's going to give you the ability to spread the field. It's going to give you the ability to manipulate the box, the running box. It's going to give you the ability to have 2 tight ends on the field that you can go 5 wide receivers out of, or 2 tight ends that you can go get in a 4 wide receiver set. So it's going to put pressure on that defense to declare, hey, are we going to play heavy for the run because they got 2 tight ends in the game, or are we going to add some extra DBs in there and play nickel or dime because we know these guys are receiving threats? You start doing that, and that just opens up alleyways for runners. Let me take this thing back to the evolution of our offense when I played in Denver. When we first got there, we were a pro set, and we were actually a man blocking scheme. And Terrell Davis always he's always so proud of the fact that he tells people, listen, it wasn't the system, because I ran for over 1,000 yards in a man blocking scheme. We eventually morphed that into the zone blocking scheme that we're known for in Denver, the 2 tight end sets, which kind of catapulted TD's career. But one of the things that we did in those sets were we had the ability to have myself and a Shannon Sharp on the field at the same time. And we could easily get into a 4 wide receiver set, an empty set. We had, or we match it up with Dwayne Carswell and Shannon, or Dwayne Carswell and myself. There was games that we went in with all 3 of us on the field at the same time. And basically me and Shannon are playing wide receiver positions, and Dwayne's at the tight end position, and teams are literally putting heavy packages on the field, because as a defensive coordinator, when you see 3 tight ends come on the field, what are you thinking? They're going to run football. We get in these 3 wide receiver sets and throw and air it out. So then let's go put some DBs in there. But you still got 3 tight ends on the field. And so it's easier to shift and adjust into a heavy set, run TD at you, and we had a lot of success doing it. And I think that's what this offense is going to provide for a Philip Lindsay and a Melvin Gordon. It's going to give us numbers matchups in the box when we decide to spread the field with our elite, with our tight ends, and really make these teams decide: am I going to put heavy package on the field, or am I going to put an extra DB, a nickel, or a dime package on the field? It can create quite a quandary for a defensive coordinator.
Well, what's fun is I was watching some of that Pat Shurmur offense while he was with the Vikings, and man, I saw about 10 different plays where he ran a jumbo package right around the 50-yard line, and he threw it probably about 50% of the time out of that jumbo package, bringing on an extra, offensive lineman eligible wide receiver. Man, it was awesome to see for all these people saying, Pat Shurmur doesn't run a double tight end set all that often. Then he also lately has said that he is also a fan of putting both running backs on the field this coming season, saying he was asked about, I think there's a suspicion that you were behind the acquisition of Melvin Gordon, primarily because the history of your offense is the running back is active in the passing game, and Melvin can do that. Can you talk about that first of all? Were you kind of pounding the table for Melvin Gordon, and why? And Pat Shurmur said, I think that's a false narrative. Listen, I'm all for adding good players at every position. I feel like Philip Lindsay is an outstanding player that we can hand the ball or throw the ball to. The fact that we have two running backs now that can be very explosive with the ball in their hands, whether you throw it or run it, I think that's a good thing. So the fact that he's already excited to use both of them, the fact that he's run double tight end sets as much as people want to act like he doesn't. I think he was the coordinator we were hoping Mike McCoy would be when we all said, he adheres his offense to his players. That didn't happen. Then we thought that Rich Scangarello was going to be that offensive coordinator. That didn't happen. So,
hell no.
Maybe 4th, 5th, 10th time is the charm, and we actually see a coordinator use his players' talents to their abilities.
100%. I come stacked with questions, and I'm kind of on the back end of these, but I will ask this. So, and Alex, I'll start with you, and then Byron, I'll ask you on this one. So as far as these receivers go, of course, there's always got to be, that one leading receiver, and in 2013, it was Demaryius Thomas. He had over 1,200 yards and I believe 14 touchdowns to conclude the 2013 season. If you had to put your chips on a certain receiver of the 2020 season, of Judy, of Hamler, of Sutton, of Fant, assuming maybe Albert O sees some time, and maybe Deshaun Hamilton's still on the roster, this could be any receiver at this point that is a Bronco right now. Who would you put your chips on? Alex, I'll go with you. Who do you think is going to be that standout receiver, that go-to for Drew Lock, and is going to shine throughout the season?
Well, I mean, I think COVID does not help anything. The fact that you're cutting down on training camp, the fact that you're cutting down on time that guys can start throwing with each other and catching with each other, playing on even those 7-on-7s that are meant to, favor the offense, you're still cutting into that time. So I do think that cuts into time that Hamler and Judy could be, getting some really good, valuable reps out there.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think that Judy is going to exactly struggle this year because the guy is pro ready. He's ready to go right now. As far as who's going to be your leading receiver, it's going to be Sutton. He's ready. He's ready to go. Pro Football Focus actually just released something. Their projected receiving yards would be Cortland Sutton with 1,006 yards. And then below that is Jerry Jeudy with 673 yards. Noah Fant right behind him is 647 yards. KJ Hamler, 379, and Melvin Gordon with 375.
Huh. Interesting. Byron, what say you, man?
No, I agree. I mean, the go-to guy is going to be Cortland Sutton. He's definitely, to me, I think this is the year that because he's going to have some help around him, that he's going to go into that category of elite number one receivers in this league. I think this is his year. But the guy that I think who's going to have the breakout year, I agree with you, Alex. I think Judy's not going to struggle. I think he's going to make the transition to the pro game very easily. He's played at a high level at a top program in Alabama that gets guys pro ready. But I think the guy who's really going to have the breakout year this year is Noah Fant. I think Noah Fant is going to really he's going to get a lot of opportunities because of a Cortland Sutton, because of a Jerry Jeudy, and because of because of the ability to put a big play guy like Hamler on the field as well. I think that the tight end is really going to really have a breakout year. I remember the year I went to the Pro Bowl, and I'm saying this because it kind of sets up like this. I went to Minnesota, and we had a Randy Moss, who was a legit number one. We had a Chris Carter, who was later in his career, but he was still a legit number two receiver. And we had a Jake Reed, who still could make plays in the passing game. He wasn't the same. He was an older Jake Reed. But when teams went to double team guys, they forgot about little old me, And as a matter of fact, the first 7 games, I was the leading receiver on the team. And that's interesting. A team that had a Randy Moss and a Chris Carter wind up leading the entire NFC tight ends and catches and yards that year. But I see this kind of setting up the same way for Noah Fant. And we all know, with quarterbacks, if you can get the ball out of your hands as quickly as you can, as fast as you possibly can, and get it to somebody who can make a play, the tight end is the closest guy to you for the most part. He runs the shorter to the intermediate routes, but like we talked about earlier, Fant's a guy that could be a game breaker at tight end. He can take that ball, split through tackles, and you see him running, down the middle of the field 60 yards. So I think he's going to benefit the most from all the weapons that we have brought in this offseason, whether it be through the draft or through free agency.
God,
that was a long answer.
No, you're good. You're good. I was going to say, don't blow this out of proportion. Like, don't mix up the words here, but I've been thinking on it. I think Drew Lock and Noah Fant have something similar to a Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce type relationship on the field. I just think that's how it's going to work. I think that you look at Drew Lock's past and how he was able to, the chemistry he built with Albert O, and what he's been when he first stepped on the field. His first passes in the league as a starter were to tight ends. I think it just continues to click, and I think that Noah Fant is going to be the guy that is most utilized, and I think he's going to be the breakout. But as far as the receivers go, I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton. I'm on the same page as all you guys, but I just think that is primed to be a Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce-esque relationship. I think that Drew Lock and Noah Fant could have that relationship, could have that chemistry, and Noah Fant could be one of the more successful top tight ends of the AFC, maybe right behind Kelce when the 2020 season's all said and done. But, I mean, of course, that's with, certain things due to COVID pending. So, yeah, that's where I stand on that. Well, I really don't have any more remarks. I don't know if you guys have any more remarks on anything. I mean, content's kind of slowed down, guys. We're at a standstill right now. No rookie minicamp, no OTAs, no nothing in terms of the teams right now. We're at a standstill. So, yeah, I don't know, unless you guys want to mention something. It's kind of like an open forum real quick. before we conclude?
Well, as far as your whole, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, you also have to remember they're having, a Hall of Fame coach, play caller, calling those plays too. So if Pat Shurmur can get on that level, man, I'm all about it.
True. I mean, that is up for debate. I think that's.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes great talent overcomes coaching at times. So, sometimes coaches, you can just call basic stuff when you got some talented guys out there, and you just let them go, let them do their thing.
I agree. I think that there's a chance. There is a chance. So I guess with that being said, guys, that's pretty much the conclusion of episode 20. We really didn't have much to bring to the table. This is it right here. On to the next, episode 21. Will there be open facilities? Will we see something? Probably not. It'll probably be the same thing. And I think next week we could honestly flash back to a couple of, Broncos memories, something that, stands out from a player perspective. I think that'd be great. Getting your insight, Byron, on a few of your favorite moments as a Bronco, but also as fans, and getting that perspective. Maybe it be Demaryius Thomas in the final drive in the 2011 playoffs, C.J. Anderson in 2015 against the Patriots in Week 13, Week 14. Anything like that, we'll bring up those memories and we'll address those. But for now, this is episode 20. And before I go, I just got to say, make sure you follow these guys. Byron Chamberlain at BC_Chamberlain on Instagram and Twitter. You got to go follow him. And Alex Valdez at V_Broncos on Twitter. Myself at Keegan Hartman1. I know I put a lot of thought into that name. So, thank you guys for joining us. And I hope that everybody has a safe and wonderful weekend. God bless.